Meanwhile, in Russia, gas masks on their face. Never would they ever switch blades. Meanwhile, in Russia, gas masks on their face. Never would they ever switch blades. Meanwhile, the chilling moment that nuke incoming sirens sound and school kids wear gas masks in war drills as Putin readies Russians for World War III. This is absolutely nuts that this is actually going on the same exact time that we are all getting the doomsday alert. And I would love to call it something else. I would love to call it the national alert or whatever they said it was. But again, everybody got a presidential alert, or about half of the people did, because it is the same exact system. It would be the system that we would use in some sort of horrible, horrendous emergency. So whatever side thing that you may believe about it, again, there's a lot of theories, even from people like Edward Snowden, believing what they believe it is, upstream surveillance, this kind of stuff. But even if it is exactly what they say it is, then you got to wonder why it's being prepped. It is a contingency. If something really, really bad happens, that would be the system they use. The same exact day, Russia is actually testing they tested a Arctic nuclear-powered missile. They ended up having alerts of their own. There's actually TV alerts that we've attached to tonight's show. And of course, school kids were doing drills, going into shelters and putting on gas masks. Pretty nuts, if you ask me. It says, of course, sirens blared out across Russia today, and children donned gas masks as part of a terrifying drill for an incoming nuclear attack. The eerie siren could be heard across the country, and chilling messages were broadcast live as Putin forced his citizens to endure a World War III drill. Now, I like how they I will say this. Now, if this was any other country, if they were talking about an exercise that was a contingency plan or an exercise that is basically meant to prepare people for a bad event, this is again looked down upon in many Western cultures. There are many European countries that actually prepare for the worst, and it is considered responsible. But here, it's considered kooky. It's considered weird, right? But how they put this, they said the eerie siren could be heard across the country, and chilling messages were broadcast live as Putin forced his citizens to endure a World War III drill. So they're being forced to prepare to protect them, right? But that's how it's looked at in general. It doesn't matter who it was; they would say the same thing. Chilling footage even shows school children being taught how to correctly don gas masks. Sirens and loudspeakers were sounded in all regions across Russia's 11 time zones in drills that spanned 2 days. It said that, of course they meant spanned. It says it was Russia's first nationwide civil defense exercise as Putin indoctrinates his people about the danger of the West triggering nuclear war. Now, no matter what you think about this, it's happening, and many people believe it's all Ganda and it's all fake news, but at the same time, it is physically happening. There are children across Russia actually putting on and donning gas masks. We are actually preparing our systems. We just got a cell phone alert to every last one of our phones. So again, what the heck is going on here? Again, we're going to talk about all of this. We're going to show you some pictures from these drills over the last 24 hours. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that bell notification and make sure to hit that sub button. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest.
Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Gas mask on their face, never would they ever switch blades. Meanwhile in Russia, gas mask on their face, never would they ever switch blades.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We're going to show you some of the pictures from this, and you have to remember, if you are a Russian citizen, this became very, very real. Whether you thought that this is all some sort of game to bluff or to pound your chest, thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people just experienced this thing in Russia, where they had all of these schools and public buildings. At first, we were told that it was just going to be the military and government. So on top of this, this is the first time this has ever happened this large. This was not only across all 11 time zones, it was everywhere. It was also the government and military agencies that did this. Now, there's video all over of all of these different agencies doing all sorts of drills across the country. This was massive. This was something that most definitely took a lot of organizing. If you look at all of the local fire departments, police departments, government agencies, militaries that all participated in this, this was absolutely gigantic. So when you look at the faces in this, you know, we have to kind of guess and speculate what they are thinking right now, but you would think, oh, these people probably hate Putin, right? Well, Putin's support right now during this conflict is actually higher than it was before. So when you look at this kind of stuff, and we're told here in Western media that, you know, that everybody hates him and that he's despised and all of this, but I don't think that that's the actual truth. As far as what is happening here, this drill probably opened some eyes right now, and it probably scared the crap out of people, regardless of if it is something to be worried about or not. If you look at these pictures, and actually these are screenshots out of the video. This video actually shows that they have this huge door come out of the wall, and it has everybody get into the basement, and then this wall comes up. These floor panels come up, and then a wall comes out of nowhere and closes off the entire wing of this building. It's really quite insane. If you get a chance after this show, make sure to go watch the videos that we attached and go check this out. But first of all, before we get started, again, we're gonna touch on this and much more tonight on Marfoogle News. I do want to remind you all, make sure to go over to the website. You will find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. If we have pictures or videos attached, that will all be available over on the website. All you have to do is look for today's thumbnail. Meanwhile, in Russia, and then once you click on that on our website, it will bring you to a full source list, so you know exactly where we got our information. Now, everything from Reuters to Zero Hedge, it's all there. All of the links are there for you to use. So this is done before every single live show 5 days a week. So again, make sure to utilize it. We are independent. Again, it's myself, Dex, and a bunch of volunteer mods. So if you want to support us, share us out, share this video out right now. Thank you so much. All right, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So this is wild. Not only did they do these drills, they did TV, they did cell phone alerts. If you listen to them, it is quite eerie to actually hear the voices at the same time. Here, we actually had this massive alert, which we were told that it was an FEMA alert. Now, that makes a difference, because if it's an FEMA alert, and we know what we're saying here, then we think, when we think that, oh, it's a flood, or for a hurricane, or for a storm, or for an earthquake, right? We don't think of conflict. We don't think of something hitting us. We don't think of a nuke when we think of FEMA, or at least when it's been used prior to any of this conflict stuff. Now, when we think of a presidential alert, we think of nukes. We think of asteroids. We think of Yellowstone. We think of Cascadia. That is the alert that they would use. Now, many would say, well, today was the FEMA alert, right? Well, half the phones got the presidential alert, which we did a video on earlier. That it seems that maybe the phone companies got the same signature for the same exact alert, but they forgot to update what it was supposed to say. Now, the government can actually change the message of the actual content of the message, the signature it sends over. The actual phone company labels that. So that same signature came over, but they forgot to update. This is my theory on it. And after talking to a telecommunications expert, said that it came over as the same signature, so the same system, same alert, but they did not change over that name. So if you looked at that video earlier we did, people all over the country, it didn't matter if they were Android or Apple. Some Apples got national alert, some Apples got presidential alert, some Androids got a national alert, and some Androids got a presidential alert. So it got mixed up there. So, and it wasn't by carrier, it was by phone. So again, very, very odd. The reason why it's important if that was a presidential, because we were told for months in 4 different very, very high up mainstream articles, because this was coming up in months, we knew months in advance, we were told that this one is different, that this isn't the one from 2018. This is a totally different one, even though it's happening basically 1 day later, exactly 5 years later. The last time that this whole system was tested, it did not do so well. In fact, they said they were going to do it the next year and try to get a better result, but they didn't do it. When they did do it back in 2018, on our side of things, it was back when there was all the stuff going on with North Korea and the nukes and calling people Rocket Man. And, of course, T-Man, our ex-president, essentially said that we're going to bring fire and fury. And people were scared crapless because they were like, whoa, did he really just say that? He said, if you do anything, then we're going to destroy you, wipe you off the planet, basically. And that's the last time it happened. So you would think, oh, well, maybe this thing's done every year, but it's not. It's not an annual thing. They test the WEAS all the time. They test the EIS, the cell phone stuff, but they don't test this all the time. Dex, as far as like what's happening in both countries, this should tell people that this is only going to get more clear. And we've been saying this for years, but people need for them to be shown that things are about to go down. Like, it's literally people up until the last minute are going to go, nope, it's not happening. Kind of like how people think, oh, I'm not going to die. And we think somehow magically we're going to survive until we're forever. We're never going to die, right? But eventually it happens. And that's how I feel like with this.
Yeah, this is so for starters, as of yesterday, the best knowledge we had of the information coming out of Russia said this was only happening with the leaders, the military, the leaders of the government, and the state-owned businesses and certain businesses that were tied with the state. Then we get today that, oh no, it's actually all the citizens. So they took the drill to I don't know if they've changed it. I don't think that's the case. I just think the information was never widely sent from their country to ours so that we would know what was going on. But this is totally different than what we were told. We reported last night, it was just a drill. They were doing a drill. It was a big deal. Everything was, but it was not the citizens. And now here we've got, children and school children and citizens going into bunkers. It's a much bigger deal. And they also issued their own version of an EAS to everybody. The same thing that we did today. So why are these two countries that are sort of at odds with each other? They've had a long history of a cold conflict, and now they're basically positioning against each other with what's happening in Europe between NATO and themselves, Russia, knowing that U.S. is very much in charge of NATO. Why are both of us doing this at the exact same time? There's a reason for that. It's not just coincidence. It's not just oh well, we got to do this every year because we do it. No, we don't. It's been a while since we've done it, and at the same time, the massive size of their drill that now included all of their citizens, something's on the horizon. Like, people need to wake up. If I don't say that to the folks that are here in our show because you guys are all there, what's going on, but the rest of us that are around us that have got their head in the sand going, everything's fine. It's really not. We got to understand this is coming to a new level.
Yeah, it's kind of like, seeing a slow motion car coming at you. You go, nah, it's not coming. Well, it's a little bit closer. It's like the scene out of Austin Powers where the tractor's coming. It's like and then 2 days later, it's finally rolling over you. It's like this has been coming for a long time, and because there's a stigma around this, people have said that you're a fearmonger, said you're this, and I've talked about you guys too. When you talk to your friends and family, everybody's like, okay. And they said the same thing before CV, when all of us in this community saw it coming. We saw the drills, we saw the exercises, we saw the world agencies doing this stuff. And yes, if you think that there's all sorts of people behind closed doors and it's all part of a game, then yeah. But guess who's playing in this game? Who's going to be involuntarily picked for dodgeball? It's going to be us, and we're all going to be a part of this. I mean, I think it's past the point of people figuring out we're already in World War III. And when they go back in history, they're going to say it started way before today. In World War II, they didn't know it was World War II until almost the very end. I mean, they knew it was a world conflict and there was all these countries involved, but that's not what it was called. You have all of the countries of the world picking sides. This is something that is very clear. But now you have some of the things that are actually coming out. We talked about this 7-8 months ago, and people really didn't notice that the whole thing with Putin, it leaked out that he has a plan called Noah's Ark to basically take all of his top leadership out and evacuate them and put them in bunkers. We know for years that they've planned stuff like this. Not to mention, they have now teamed up with China. They've now teamed up with North Korea. They've now teamed up with Cuba. If you were to actually put up a World War III, you have all of the teams picked. You have South Africa joining. You have India drilling with Russia. I think that a lot of these countries probably, at some point, they were like, well, we're tired of being number 2, number 3, number 4. And they're like, well, it's our time to shine. Yeah, that's what it seems like, especially places like China. And if China really is failing as bad as they say they are and their economy is tanking, that's even more reason for them to if somebody's broke and desperate, they'll go out and rob somebody. So that's essentially what war is. So this is definitely something that people can't really ignore. This is huge. This was massive. Like Dex said, they said this was going to be governmental, police at most. They said it was going to be some corporations. This ended up being an entire nationwide thing overnight. It's like, and by the way, they did this very quietly. And why are they at the same time? Well, ours has been planned for a while. So did they do this as a message? Did they pick this day because they wanted to send a message? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. But obviously following the last month of events, and really if you've been following for a long time, when do you think things will really start escalating? Let me know in the chat. Just put whatever your best guess is of when you think things will pop off. Just put it in the chat right now, and I'll pull that up. All right. And let's see here. Also, make sure to thank your mods. There's probably going to be a lot of people in chat. So please make sure to thank your mods. They're doing an awesome job. You can go thank them by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends. We not only have all of our great mods there, but we also have a bunch of great creators you can check out when we're not live, especially everywhere from Alaska Prepper to Wages World. They're all there. So make sure to go check them out and subscribe. So what do you think? Let's go over to the chat here for a second. And thank you, everybody over on DLive already popping in. And if you do want to do a quick roll call, what state you're from, just a general state to find other people near you, find something in common. Let's see here. We've got Techaton. We've got Tina Jarvis. Hey, nice to see you, Tina. Lori Smith says 7 days. That's low. Ghostwriter says 2 weeks. I really hope that that's wrong. I believe in the next 9 or 10 months. That's my guess. But again, give me your best educated guess or uneducated guess, whatever you want to give me there. Let's see here. Somebody said this is not propaganda. Here's the thing, though. People are going to say everything is propaganda, and maybe it is. It very well could be. There's 80% chance that almost everything is. But at what point is propaganda is it possible for propaganda to also be leading into a real event? You have to remember that, especially with what mainstream does and what global media does, is it covers very real events, but they can also shift the actual view of that event. If you set up before, during, and after, you can actually shift how people view an event. This is what the spinsters do in politics. They will take an event. So say a politician is, we won't take any of the real world gross examples, but say a politician is, gosh, all of them are gross, in the bathroom doing something they shouldn't do, right? And they get caught, which that's happened like 5 times, I think. But they get caught. Well, what they do is they'll spin it and they'll say, well, he's got Crohn's or IBS or something, and that's why he didn't have the bottom half of his clothes on or something like this. They spin it. They will also go back in time and they'll go, see here 2 years before, you see that this was said that he had this, and there's a very reasonable answer for why he did this and why he went over to the other stall and why he was in the woman's bathroom. You know, all of these kind of things. They will spin it to where you view it like that. That is exactly what is happening right now. They are keeping the calm. Meanwhile, they are shaping the view of it. So they are shaping how we actually look at all of these events that are happening worldwide. Let's see here. What that really means is they lie, says Wide Awake and Angry. Tree Hooker says, just like a thief in the night. Brian Fink, Big Island, Hawaii. Hey, nice to see you guys. We got all sorts of predictive planning. Rashid. Yeah. And what's so freaky is real events that are going to happen have been in Hollywood movies. And because it's in a Hollywood movie, most people have this stuff distance in their brain. They cannot wrap their heads around this stuff really happening. And I'm not talking about an all-out nuclear war where we all perish or something. I'm talking about a conventional hot war between forces, cyber event, grid down kind of stuff. That's what I think is more likely than us wiping each other out. But who knows what would happen in Russia or to somebody who's our enemy. We can't wrap our head around a first strike even. But first strikes happen. They will happen at some point. It's something that we just really can't wrap our head around. So yeah, Comet Moon is here. Digital revolution. We have Butch Weatherly. We have all sorts of great people in the chat. Ryan Alter. Aloha from Kihai. Hey, I heard you guys actually got hit during that whole thing too. Let's see here. Big Sexy. Thank you. Rochelle Cooley. Tupola MS. Is that Minnesota? No, not Minnesota. Missouri? Is that Missouri? Yoga with Denise. Hello from New York. Dex?
I think you may have said Tupelo, Mississippi. I'm not sure if that's what it was because I didn't read it.
Is MS Mississippi or Missouri? I always get that mixed up. Either way. JD Etheridge, James Carlson. Let's see here. Seeking Truth, Kitty Rose. We got K. Parker Frazier. We got Mississippi. Okay, so I guessed one of them, or I best out of 2. Nan Caraway, Truth Iris, Stephen McMahon says, whether it is even a foreign player, I bet they'll spring it. Hey, Mark from Minnesota. So when you guys see me read a message, and when you guys see me read a message, I've had people go, well, you read my message, but you didn't say my name. It's because it goes by this fast. If you're reading it, and then the whole thing switches over. Sven Sorensen, hey, from Tahiti. Nice. Monton from Philly. We've got R.A., Kathy, MC, Paul Jordan. Thank you, guys. All right, and if you're watching the replay, obviously you can skip through the live chat stuff, but again, I would say hi to some of your peeps in the comments. All right, and then we have Air Force successfully tested secret new stealth missile with a mock nuke. This is all happening at the same time. Dex, do you want to go over, they're testing this system. This is like so many things all at once.
Yeah, all at once. So now here we have this, I guess, a major test of a new secret missile. So, and it is, a nuke carrier. So apparently we're spending something like $600 billion to keep our weapons in fighting shape, it says. But as they talk about specifically in this, The LRSO is a replacement for the AGM-86, an air-to-ground missile that was first produced in 1980. So Raytheon is building this, and the details about it are pretty scarce, but the Air Force is pitching it as stealthy and long range, and it's an upgrade to the older missile system. So pretty interesting that they're testing a nuclear type missile, and it's coming from the Air Force. So obviously something that can probably be launched from a plane, as well as other things.
And this is something that it's long range, and this is the same one day after Russia ends up testing a nuclear powered missile. Now, that nuclear powered missile means that it can go for a very long time. It can essentially just keep going and going and going because it has a nuclear powered engine. Basically, it can just keep going indefinitely if it wants, or at least, I don't know what the actual range is on it, but you would assume if it was like that. They do say that their nuclear powered torpedoes have an indefinite range. It can just keep going around the world, round and around and around. So yeah, pretty crazy if you ask me.
And if I could just jump in, I think on the that nuclear powered missile, they announced that they were wanting to test it, and I think it's actually, they're saying now it's going to be a birthday present on October 7th for Putin. So that's when it'll, if they actually do it, that's when it will be. So that's another date that they've now put out there for everybody,
which is kind of weird. They're saying it's going to be his birthday present on October 7th, which is 3 days from now. At the same time, we've got doomsday planes in the sky in Russia. You had Putin actually go down to a bunker. We still don't know. I don't know if he's come out. We know that he and other leaders practice actually going into these shelters. And of course, you have videos of all the citizens basically preparing to go down. You know, there's going to be certain people that just, no matter what happens and how close this thing gets, people are going to go, oh, it's all just a bunch of BS. Well, at what point does it not? At what point is it not BS? Now, it very well could have BS motivations. It could have BS people at the top of it. But I would say this. Most of the people in this community believe that there are people at the very top that believe there should be less of us around. And they'll thoroughly believe that, oh, yeah, this is all because they want less of us. They'll believe in that, the D and, of course, Pop. They'll believe in that, and they'll say that's totally what they're doing. But then not believe that they would send us to conflict? Why? Oh, well, then it would ruin all this infrastructure they spent billions of dollars making. Do they care? They care about power. One thing we have seen and one thing we have noticed is some of these politicians, they will make enough to retire 10 times over comfortably, but they will stay in power and they will stay in politics, not at 65. They don't retire at 65. They start at 65. They will go until they're 95, until they're being wheeled into Congress in a wheelchair. They don't care about that. They care about power. That is one thing you have to understand. Power is a currency in the world, and these people are absolutely desperate. That's all they care about, and that's my opinion. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. And then Dex, the picture attached here, is this what it's supposed to look like? No,
that's the plane. That's the I believe that's the B-52 that they use to launch the stealth
missile,
classified missile. Yeah, so that's the actual, or not, that's the type of plane, but I'm assuming it could probably come off of others. Depends, unless it's specific to only that plane. We don't know. Again, it's very scarce.
Well, and we covered back when they were starting to talk about how they could turn any cargo plane into a weapon. And the reason why is they were essentially starting to talk about having missiles that would drop out the back of a cargo plane and then ignite and then take off and go. So if you think about that, and then here's another layer to this. So these kind of cargo planes, right? Who is in charge of these kind of cargo planes? Who's in charge of a majority of the military cargo flying around in this kind of thing? Dex, you probably can answer this. Do you know who is in charge of the military cargo program?
No, actually, I don't.
Starts with an M. I know you know it, but I put you on the spot. Starts with Mike.
Oh, Minahan.
Yes, Mike Minahan. And what did Mike Minahan just recently do with all of our cargo planes? Almost all of them.
Well, he removed the tail numbers, didn't he?
Any identifying physical numbers that people could see. Now, this was around the same time, right after they announced that they were coming up with weapons that could be dropped out of cargo planes, essentially turning every one of our cargo planes into a weapon of war. See, this cargo plane could carry however many missiles that could drop out the back loader. Well, they are at 30, 60, 80,000 feet, however high these things go. And they could literally drop a nuke out of this thing. They could drop a missile with EMPs attached. They could do all sorts of stuff. We got some badass military. Our Air Force is definitely one of our strongest suits. So this even makes it stronger. But why did they just recently take off all the tail numbers? Well, then you go back to who made that decision. Mike Minahan. Mike Minahan, and then you come fast forward to all of this stuff going on with this kind of missiles, and you're like, might have something to do. Mike Minahan sent a memo out to his employees and said that we need to get ready for a war with China. That was before he removed all of the identifiers on our cargo planes. Why? Well, our cargo planes, which, just a side note, we have been testing how to land these cargo planes on U.S. highways. They did that a couple years ago. These planes could then be turned into weapons. So if you were to strike something, if you were to strike these, that would also be bad. But here's the other thing. We have a ton of them. We have an absolute load of these kinds of planes. That turns every extra plane into a vicious weapon. So I think it's pretty odd that Mike Minahan tells his staff that we need to get ready for a war with China, and then all of this goes down, and we fast forward, and it's like one sign after the next that something is happening right now. And then thousands of U.S. healthcare workers go on strike in multiple states over wages and staff shortages. So we've covered all of the different strikes that have happened recently. We've, of course, had the Hollywood and the writer's strike. Now we've been dealing with the UAW, the auto workers union. All of these different auto companies are now down and out for the count. And now we have the healthcare workers going on strike. Dex, this is yet another big field that's actually talking about a huge strike.
Exactly. I guess they're saying that the picketing began Wednesday morning at Kaiser Permanente hospitals as some 75,000 healthcare workers go on strike in Virginia, California, and 3 other states. So this is, it's one thing to say, wow, maybe the auto industry is going to, pause, and it may be hard to get cars, or there may be a delay in getting cars or something like that. But to imagine having your healthcare workers on strike and not being able to get healthcare. I mean, the last time that happened was because we had that CV thing going around. So, yeah, this is definitely one of those things I think that they're going to be able to, or they're going to want to negotiate and resolve quickly. And they'll probably have just as much pressure, if not more, if it gets bigger than this. And that's already pretty big.
Yeah, 75,000. To put it in perspective, I think one of the big auto strikes was 20,000. Was it, Dex? Wasn't it 20,000? Or maybe that was just Volvo, or maybe that was Ford. I can't remember which one, but I remember a 20,000 mark. So 75,000.
Yeah, it's like I think you were right. 25,000 workers and 17% of UAW at the big 3 are currently on strike.
Yeah, so this is bigger than that. And crazy timing if you consider too that there's also this side thing that nobody really has talked about for a few weeks, but just about a month ago, there was all this chatter. Of course, the government said, hey, there's this new thing that's spreading around, and we just happened to come out the same day they announced that. They said, hey, we've got our new thing that you can pop in your arm. And we've got a new thing out, right? And then all of this chatter about a possible, situation, stay at home type of thing again. And a lot of folks have actually put that around November. From Foogle fam that we talked to, they said that their school let them know, or that the teacher let them know, that they said they were told around fall break for the school that they were actually going to be shutting down. We don't have any, solid guarantee that will happen. And now, if you look a couple weeks ahead, nobody's ever even talked about the CV. Nobody's talked about it since. You had AJ say, around this time it's going to happen. You could also look at it like, if AJ came out with it and everybody credited it and said he was right, maybe they're purposely not doing it because of that, and maybe that stopped it. I always wonder sometimes, like, if there's these crazy claims by some of the bigger people, they put it out there, does that actually stop it? If there was some sort of plan for something like that, does getting it out there stop it? And it kind of makes you wonder, if we do cover something that is a speculated kind of event, then maybe it doesn't happen, because then they go, oh, no, we can't. We're going to get caught doing it or something. But yeah, and then we have Harris will hack driverless cars and use them for horrific attacks, report warns. This is wild, and we haven't even gotten to all of the other Russia conflict stuff. But they are actually, and experts are saying that Harris will hack into driverless cars and use them for mass casualty attacks, a report is warning. They may also hijack drones and use them to drop boom booms, it says. And I'm being careful here, because you can't even say you have to say unalive instead of certain words, because they are so lame. It says the bleak forecasts are outlined in the local government association's Future Crime Horizon scan. It says driverless cars are heading for our roads from 2025, and the report says that there is a particular concern about them being used as weapons. Well, first of all, if this is even a concern that they can be hacked, why are they even doing it? So driverless cars, period, and they're talking about in the future, every car will be driverless, and there will be no car accidents because you won't have to drive. It will be like an ant system where everything is on the same network, and every car can drive 100 miles an hour bumper to bumper, because they're all on the same tracks and they're all on the same thing. At the same time, basically our freedom would be gone, and you would be beholden to a digital car and a system that could just turn off on you. Not only that, somebody could hack it and drive it into a sidewalk. It says, it adds, this would serve to proliferate vehicular terrorism by reducing the need for driver recruitment, enabling lone actor attacks, and potentially coordinating a large number of vehicles at once. This is kind of a crazy thing to even think about. If you, like Christine, right? The movie Christine, you have a truck, a car, all of them just like attacking humans. But they're actually saying that could be something that could happen. It suggests that using artificial intelligence to create deep fakes and sharing them on social media will make it easy to get around security features such as facial recognition. So they're literally saying that they'll be able to deep fake you, then use your face to actually trick facial recognition security measures. It says, and it warns, as drones become more technologically sophisticated, there's a high possibility that these are used for terrorist purposes, such as deployment of explosives, which, by the way, is very sad for anybody that is a hobby drone flyer. The hobby has just basically died for anybody that's not a commercial person that's going and getting a pilot's license, because they are making it harder and harder to fly anywhere. And they're basically going to take over that. And it was a thing of the past. You'll just have good memories. It says, in April, drivers were legally allowed to take their hands off the steering wheel on our motorways for the first time. The driving assist feature in Ford's latest Mustang Mach-E model was permitted by the Department of Transport in the first for Europe. Parliament's Transport Select Committee is calling for a range of measures to ensure that they are safe and efficient. So just so you know, there's been self-driving and there's been this kind of stuff, but they always required you to hold your hands on the wheel. What they just told us, and again, what just happened, is the Mustang, which out of all the cars, Mustang Mach-E, somebody could just sit back, go to sleep, take a nap, and have their car drive them somewhere, which is really nuts. Well, then think of somebody from some sort of group or three-letter agency hacking that car and driving it into somebody. You know what's really scary? What if in the future, when everybody's driving these things by force, think about if the state has an enemy, and they could literally just have their car drive into somebody and say that they did it. And you go, oh, well, it would show it on the computer. Well, come on. It's three-letter agencies here. If they wanted to discredit somebody or put somebody away or basically just get rid of a dissenting voice, they could just take over the car and drive them over the curb. Or drive them over the bridge with them in it. But then that wouldn't look good for driverless cars, right? All right. And then before we talk about a global Chinese disinformation initiative could threaten international security, U.S. officials warn. I do want to remind you, if you haven't checked out Nutrient Survival, this is freeze-dried food that is nutritional as well. This is some of the best freeze-dried food I've ever had. I've had many of the different brands. They always send samples, and all sorts of companies do. This one, actually, Alaska Prepper directly had them send me some. And it was about a year ago that I found them. And I've actually told you guys about this. There are two different kinds. There's bulk quantity for your money, good price, affordability. And then Nutrient Survival is on the other end of it. This is extremely high quality food that is packaged, and it's actually special ops grade food. So this food is not just to survive. This food is to thrive. This food is like, you need a soldier, burning at 4,000, 5,000 calories a day kind of thing and kicking ass. That's the kind of food this is. Not to mention, I think it would probably even go further because of its nutritional content. So it's really, really good food. Again, you have 6 times more nutrients in this food than some of its competitors. So go check it out, marfooglenews.com/NS. If you want to use our code, you will not only save 15%, but you will also help out our channel at the same time. One thing I can assure you is this is one of the best tasting freeze-dried foods I've had. Now, freeze-dried is the best way to preserve food. It keeps almost all of the flavor in, and it lasts up to 25 years. If you don't have food in your fridge, or if you're one of the many that has 3 days of food in their fridge, or in your house total, then I would highly recommend getting some sooner than later, because the price on this, once you buy it, is not going to change. But the price on it, if you don't buy it, it's going to go up. In the last 3-4 years, the price on all freeze-dried food, because of the technology and the price and inflation, has tripled. If you think about it, as fast as food is going up, that is as fast as freeze-dried food is going to go up as well. Freeze-dried food is just normal food that is freeze-dried. So if you think about inflation and everything else, this is going to be so much more expensive as time goes on. It's never going to go down. So it's better to buy it yesterday than tomorrow. marfooglenews.com/NS. All right, Dex, do you want to talk about a global Chinese disinformation initiative could threaten international security?
So let's paint this picture first so that you understand what they're talking about here. So as it says, for much of the world, China's Xinjiang region is notorious a place where the ethnic Uyghurs face forced labor camps and arbitrary detentions. I'm sure we've all seen those images. We've talked about it for a long time in the past. So we've got this idea of what they do there, or this notion that it's sort of a bad thing. But a group of visiting foreign journalists was left with a much different impression. So on a tour just late September, not too long ago, Beijing had 22 journalists come in from 17 countries and visit the bazaars and chatted with the stores and the markets, chatted with the residents over food. And they later told their state media that they were impressed. It was a bustling economy. They described the region as full of culture and diversity and religion and all that. And it was basically not what we had been described. Well, what they had done was they spent like millions and millions of dollars to create that experience. They brought them in and they made it look, or this is what they're proclaiming here, is that they made it look like such a great thing, so they could get these journalists to then go back and say, "Yeah, there's really nothing going on there. It's really nice." When in reality, beforehand, we knew it wasn't. We saw what was being reported inside. So the point is that they are willing to spend that much money, significant amounts of money, to change narratives, whether it's the online armies of people on social media that they use, or in this case, where they basically create an entire facade and marketplace and bring in journalists and create this environment to make them think everything is just so perfect. And what they're describing is they're saying, hey, they can do this at scale. And that is what the risk is, because countries are going to make decisions based off of this type of information. They're going, at one time countries would make decisions, hey, we don't want to work with you because you're doing bad things to people, and we don't like that. You need to fix it. So instead of fixing it, they just put up this facade, and they're able to demonstrate it so realistically that with money and spending money on it, that it can change the perceptions. And that's what they're saying. Just like online, just like they do with other things, they're suggesting that this ability that they have, they being China, to create a narrative, to create disinformation, it's actually going to be a threat to international security because of this power that they sort of wield over this. And they've it's by design. They've spent so much time building this out. And it's not just this is one example, but that's the example of the engine that they've sort of created, if you want to think of it that way, to model how they want to change and control narratives about their country, what may be going on in their country, or any topic that they want to control.
And okay, so this is where it comes back to me. I have had a gut feeling. So first of all, they've said that China is failing, that their economy is crashing. And when you ask people, they say, oh, well, the data doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. They shut down their country for way too long. And it goes into multiple theories of depending on what you think of things. And it's like, so CV happened. They shut down up until December of like this last 10 months ago. They finally opened up. Way longer than anybody else did in the world. And a lot of us were like, whoa, why are they the most strict out of everybody, right? It's almost like they know what's in it, or they know what it is, right? They didn't want anybody to get it. You had to have a green code to go to the grocery store. You couldn't go to the bathroom without getting your temperature checked, right? And they shut down. And here's the weirdest part. During the time that they said that they were shutting down, locals, and we had Americans, we had Australians, we even had a few people that stream over on like DLive, basically saying things about, because they were living in China and using a VPN to stream out. And they said that these zones that were shut down were still on. Like the electronics kind of district, they said that those factories were still building something. But if it wasn't building what they were normally building, what the heck were they doing? And that's what it made me think, like, are they using these for like wartime stuff, to build stuff secretly? They were putting it on pause. They could have been preparing a war. They could have switched all their factories to something else with that as a guise. Now, fast forward, you see them loading up their coastlines. They now have the largest navy in the world. It was almost overnight that they virtually not only surpassed us, but surpassed us by over 100 ships. And they say that gap is just growing like crazy, because we've actually covered how the one thing they can do is they can manufacture, and they can manufacture fast. Now, when it goes to the whole thing that they're broke, South China Morning Post, People's Daily, Shenzhen Daily, all of these CCP edited newspapers are saying how bad China's doing. Now, all of Western media is saying China is failing. They're going broke. They're going bust. They're about to collapse, right? One, that probably makes us here in the U.S. feel a whole lot better, since we are literally collapsing. Everything is collapsing around us, and the bubble's about to burst. But second, China is actually doing that. Now, Xi and their government does not readily admit that they're failing. They cover things up. They don't brag about their misgivings. They hide them. They hide mistakes. So you have the CCP approved messages all over the place saying, oh yeah, we're failing. Our economy's doing bad. Everything's about to go crush. And then you see a story like this. Fast forward, they're essentially saying that their media control is so powerful, they can essentially say anything and put that narrative out there, and it will be believed. They have over 1 million actual people that are digital soldiers So not just a phone on a bracket somewhere, they have an actual person that represents their person. They can make anything go viral. They can have 1 million people go to a post. If some big celebrity with a lot of influence goes and says something, they can have 1 million people go to that post and say, no, this is totally false. Are you going to believe something if you see 10,000 people go, no, this was debunked, this is fake? No, people believe the majority. So like that's one way, but other than that, they own mass swaths of media. They own everything. This is literally saying that they can control the narrative of anything. I almost think that they are making us think that they are failing, that they're going broke. Maybe again, people go, no, we've seen the numbers. Well, who's to say they're not lying about the numbers? They purposely held back several numbers to us, like their unemployment numbers for youth, right? They hid those. They can hide anything. They could give us fake numbers. Oh, but it doesn't work that because the global businesses and things, they have the real numbers and it's regulated. Do you think they don't have their hands on global companies or global agencies? Because it seemed like they were getting real closey to the W and the H and the O, which basically ran the planet for that whole time, right? I don't know. Something doesn't sit right with me, but that's just my gut feeling. Maybe I'm stupid. I know some of you are going, maybe. Come on, math. Angie K says, thank you, Adam Dex. May God greatly bless y'all. Hey, thank you, Angie K. I appreciate that. And K. Parker Fraser says, much love and blessings to all. Thank you, Kay, and thank you guys for supporting our show. I so much appreciate it. Thank you, Lola Cafe, for your support last show. Zelda, Woman of Wonder. Hope you're doing well. I'm still sending prayers for you for Mama's lumpectomy. And then Tribulation Force, thank you. Mad Max, Bible Talk 777, thank you. Julie Pilkerton, Robert Strickland, 909, thank you so much. Ilea, Michelle K. Squared, Joswolf, Sweatin' Ministries, Shaver Girl, Danish Girl, and of course, Tennessee Mountain Girl. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. And then the Ukrainian Special Operation Forces land in Crimea. Battle with losses occurs. So there was a clip, by the way. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This was on Sky News. It was an interview with a lady, and I believe Philip Morris over at Redacted played this clip. Now the clip is supposedly gone. Dex, did you get a chance to watch? Did I send you the clip with that Sky News
No, I didn't
interview?
see it.
Okay, so this is trippy, Dex. This woman, essentially, they're interviewing back and forth, and the interviewee says, so you basically why they're not winning the Russian conflict, and says, so this entire time you've actually only taken less than 1% of what Russia took from you. And she says, yes, but that's because we didn't get aid fast enough. And she said back in February of 2022, when it first started, that we didn't get aid for the whole time. And she said, I thoroughly think that if we got aid back in 2022, right when we asked for it, and if it came in faster and a lot more, that we could have stopped the huge escalation of and the aggression of Russia. In the midst of this message, and to tell me in chat if you saw that video, which is now deleted, they basically said that they're not going to win, that the counteroffensive is doing horrible, that they've gained back less than 1% of what they actually lost total. And it's an accepted fact if you watch this interview. That's how they talk about it, at least. And then says that essentially winter is about to get here and they don't really have anything they can do more. So all of this money, all of this gear, everything else, they are losing horribly. Absolutely nuts. Dex, do you want to talk about the battle with the losses and how this fits into it?
All right. Well, this is coming from UKR, so it's total Ganda, defense intelligence. But they did put out a video. They show their special ops on jet skis. They claim that they went in, special ops team went in, landed in Crimea, went after their target, took out, had a battle. There were losses incurred on the other side, and they were able to retreat after they were done with their mission and get back out. So that's the gist of it. It's a rah piece for sure. And it might even be true. It's obviously with special forces, it's a small thing. It's, you sneak in, you get something done, you get out. Those things are, I don't say they're easier, but it's totally different than let's just go take Crimea, where the whole military marches in and they get their land back. It doesn't work that. That's a much different thing than having a handful of spec ops guys go in, pull off a short mission, and pull back out. So it is definitely a piece we have to take with a grain of salt. It's because we're looking at this from the lens of, there's not a lot happening in as far as movement in lines. The lines sort of are where they've been. There's a little gain here, little gain there, and even on the on Russia's side, they're actually using a tactic apparently, and they're saying it's working, is to retreat and let them take the line, and then go back in and re-attack, and they actually gain it back stronger. They being Russia, so there's an intentional loss that they're doing as part of a strategy, and some are saying that that's even working for Russia on that side. So again, it's all both sides you got to take with a grain of salt, and we're not here to pick any one side. We're just reporting what's happening and talking about it and pontificating on what we're seeing, trying to connect these dots. But anyway, that's the story. It's not very detailed, but there's some interesting images. Those are jet skis, allegedly, spec ops soldiers on them, sneaking in the middle of the night, taking out some targets inside Crimea.
Or it's a couple of transformers on a bathtub. I can't remember the transformer that looks like. Even the little thing up here. Do you guys remember the one that turned into the boat that came in sets of 3s in Transformers? It's not in the original movie or the show. It's like it opens up and it has the wings on the back. It looks exactly like the alt mode. But yeah, most of you adults would know because you guys aren't 80s Transformers babies. But Ukrainians create invisibility cloak for protection from Russian thermal imagers and drones. Ukraine, on the basis of the Brava coordinated platform, has developed super protection against Russian thermal imagers and drones with thermal imaging cameras. It says the cloak blocks the radiation of heat and makes the fighters invisible to the enemy. For example, to snipers or special operations forces groups that perform combat tasks, the Deputy Prime Minister said. The invention is compact and light. It weighs up to 2.5 kilograms. It has high protection against rain and wet snow. Sounds like they carry a mirror in their pocket or something. Apart from that, the cloak does not burn and protects against high temperatures. The samples have already successfully tested it in the field. It says, quote, the invisibility cloak is just one of the developments that will help save the lives of our soldiers at the front. We need even more, Fedorov stressed. So they say it, and by the way, Dex, you saw the thing I sent you about the cloaking or the camouflaging helicopter. Did that end up in the overflow last night?
I'll check. If it didn't, I could put it in tonight's. But yes.
Okay. I just think that's like real technology. I don't know what this is. I haven't seen exactly what this is, but there's a picture.
You can buy this. You can buy this on Amazon. I'm not joking. I'm seriously not joking. Talk about taking a piece and spinning it up and making it look so incredibly awesome. You can buy this on Amazon. Okay. I just went and looked. You can get a heavy duty survival blanket, insulated thermal reflective tarp that will protect you. And it will even show a very similar image that is, you won't be seen from a thermal imager. It's almost the same image. Okay. It's not the same image, but it's the same principle. So again, you can buy this on Amazon. Now they just took it and maybe put it more into like pants and a jacket. I'm not saying that they didn't invent some cool invisibility cloak, but I was just thinking in my mind, man, isn't that just like an emergency blanket sewn on the inside of your outfit that sort of keeps your heat from radiating out so you can't be seen from a thermal imaging? It's not that hard to hide from thermal imaging. with technology. So yeah,
But they
go to
call it
Amazon and
an
buy one.
invisibility cloak. Like, you think you're Harry Potter over here? I love, like, I don't know what movie it was. It was a movie where the guy's like in camo and he's just standing still and he's like, I see you. Um, I like how they show him in camo with a black background. I know that this is just for some test shot, or maybe it's even, gosh, the weapon even looks like it's like photoshopped in. Do you guys notice that? I don't know if this is part of a stock photo, but it's like this. Yeah, it's just all sorts of. Maybe it's a product shot. Is this a product shot for the thing?
I don't know. It came from the article, but I did put the Amazon link if you want it in screener for. I don't know. I don't even know that this is. I mean, it's just the concept. I'm just kind of joking. You can buy it on Amazon. So
But that's what it is.
if you want to show it,
It's not it's not like it's okay, so that's what I meant. That's what I meant. So the helicopter thing that I sent you the other night, that's real. That's like a technology that's going to mirror what it sees, right? It's going to know what the background is. So in the case of the helicopter, they have these panels on it that's going to mirror the sky. So if the sky is a light blue, that specific color, which you made a point, you said, well, what if they shoot it? Are you going to have broken TV screens on it? I don't know if it exactly works with screens, but it can reflect whatever color's behind it, kind of like a chameleon, right? Why I would say thermal invisible or something like that, but basically you could do the same thing with the frickin' with the prepper's emergency blanket or with the thing in your dash compartment, right? I just see like a bunch of guys unfolding those like 2-inch emergency blankets and going, "We're invisible." Here's the difference though. This is probably costing taxpayer dollars, probably $10,000 per jacket or something stupid. Some overpriced, insane price for this invisibility cloak, right? And I love how they're like, stand there and be invisible. A sniper from miles away would see that little spot and just tap this guy right in the chest. Just saying. I guess they should have done that. They couldn't. I guess they couldn't have done the test without having a little bit of them showing. But yeah, a sniper, you move your pinky finger, they're gonna take it off. And then Putin must launch mega nuke to set the world back 30 years and wipe out West's iPhones, rages his zombie in chief. It says one of Putin's propaganda puppets has demanded the tyrant unleash a huge nuclear explosion on the West to halt support for UKR. His leading zombie-in-chief commentator said that the mega nuke would wipe out all smartphones, setting the world back by 30 years. It says Margarita Simonyan, head of the Kremlin-backed media outlet RT, said it would disable all radio electronics, all digital, all the satellites. The pro-war fanatic, 43 years old, said that the West will not backpedal on Ukraine unless it's painful for them. She suggested that an explosion over Siberia, which would not cause a nuclear winter, would scare the West into halting backing for Kiev. The hardline Putin loyalist nicknamed Goebbels in a skirt claimed it would do so without unleashing a monstrous radiation in Europe or the U.S. That's kind of a scary thought. Dex, if you think about it, if something like that happens, it would do all the damage, but it wouldn't have the other damage.
She's kind of like kooky on this one, and here's why. And everybody in Siberia is like, what in the world is this woman talking about? Because what she's saying in a nutshell is, hey, detonate an EMP over Siberia so that we can show that we can do it. Never mind what happens in Siberia because it's Siberia. Well, everybody in Siberia is going, are you out of your mind? She's actually getting backlash for this. But this is the head of RT. This person definitely is, somebody who talks to Putin quite a bit. They are media controlled by, some will say controlled by the state. Many will say that. But yeah, she's actually getting a lot of flack from the rest of the Russian territory over in Siberia that is kind of going, what are you doing? We don't want that here.
All 6 of them are pissed. And then let's see here. All right. By the way, thank you. Hey guys. Thanks for just joining us. Looks like a couple people wandered in late. Yeah, really, really insane stuff tonight. I agree. All right, and let's see here. Thank you, Kimbria, Kiki Gray. Thank you, Scooby Doo Duray. Hey, thanks for stopping in, and appreciate you stopping in. Beer Juice, Kimbria, Espiritu. Thank you, Johnson. Thank you for the ice creams, and Sybin. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, and then Mark Kim Spots. We got DW David's Way. Cloud Farrell, Kristen Bell, Trinity. Hey, thank you, Trinity. You didn't have to do that. Thank you, Trinity. Again, Ray Ahmed, Sean C, Mitch Mouth. Let's see here. Kev G, what's going on? Blue Yonder, Hootin Beware. Let's see here. And Schaefer Girl, Tetra, Gramation, J Stark Manual. I can't see how many people we got in there, but we probably have quite a few in chat. Thank you guys for showing up tonight, guys. All right, let's see. And before we go over, Russia puts power unit 4 of Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant on hot shutdown, increasing likelihood of accident. I do want to remind you, if you want to prevent an EMP of basically knocking out your cars, trucks, boats, your RVs, your motorcycles, anything that you want to protect, including generators, ham radios, and even your home, then you definitely want to get an EMP shield on it. Now they have the EMP Shield Micro, all the same protection, but about a third of the size. Definitely a good one for if you got it before and it didn't fit for whatever reason, if it's a smaller engine block or it was on a motorcycle that didn't have room. Again, that is an awesome thing. The EMP Shield Micro is really great, very small, less about the half the size of my palm. Very, very small, and all of the same protection. It wires in very easy into your cars or trucks. Again, the red to red on your battery, black to black, and of course, green to ground. So you just do the green to a part of your frame, and it will actually ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it can fry your car, your truck, or your other device. That way, you can get home to bug in or get out to bug out. If you work very far from home, this is definitely a good idea. Modern cars, most of the newer cars that are all digital, if you have an EMP, you are going to be dead in the water. Nothing will work. The gas pedal is no longer physical. There's no wire pulling that. That is all digital. So again, if you want to keep going, go over and get yourself an EMP shield. It's something that you won't need until you need, and you're absolutely going to thank yourself for that in the event of that. But it also protects against solar events, and it protects against lightning. So for those of you that have a lot of lightning, you can actually protect your home with this $25,000 lightning protection as well. Guaranteed, if anything happens, they'll pay you $25,000, no questions asked, if your house if this doesn't protect it. Marfuglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. That's the same company that's been outfitting agencies DHS, DOD, and now on the Dempster team helping protect the Texas grid. Again, they have everything for generators, gas generators, solar, RVs, everything. All right, and then Dex, do you want to go over the four power plants put on hot shutdown?
Yeah, so they're actually taking it out of cold shutdown, putting it in hot shutdown. Is my understanding of what's happening here. Now, the reason that is important, I guess, is because when it's in a hot state, it's got a much greater chance of having leaks or some type of catastrophe happening, an accident, if you want to call it something more simpler than a catastrophe. But on the flip side, though, they're apparently taking number 6 and putting it into a cold state. So maybe it's a swap one for the other. But what they've said is that some of the there's been issues with number 4. They had a radioactive coolant water leaked from the first to the second circuit due to its heating, and it's violated numerous things. Now, of course, there's a lot of consternation about who's making decisions here. Uh, there's an international agency that steps in that tries to the IEEA steps in and tries to understand IAEA steps in and tries to understand what's happening with the plant to make sure nothing really bad is happening. But at the same time, they have employees there that are from UKR that are under control of the Russians because the Russians occupy the territory, and then Russians actually control the plant. And they also have put their own employees in as well. So there's like this weird mix of that going on. So there's always been questionable activities happening at this plant, and we don't really know and get really good information out of it. So I don't know if this is anything to be alarmed about, but it is a change of state that's being actually announced. And some are raising the alarm, saying, "Hey, that could be a little bit more dangerous than what it was before, given the fact they've had issues with it."
And more than 100 UFO sightings reported across DMV this year as Congress and NASA push for more research. It says more than 100 sightings of unidentified flying objects have been reported across the DMV, according to data from the National UFO Reporting Center. It says since the beginning of 2023, just 3 sightings were reported in D.C., while 42 were reported in Maryland and 70 in Virginia. The sightings around the region vary in description, shape, and form, but the most common was a round orb or sphere shape. The most recent reports came out of Richmond, Vancouver, or VA, and Harold, Maryland at the beginning of September. They were reported as lights and orbs. It says in total, there were more than 4,600 sightings have been reported in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, aka the DMV. Since the agency began collecting, and the data, with some dating back as early as 1945, posted retroactively. Dex, what did you think of the fact that they actually posted the information later? That sounds kind of odd, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on how they're trying to track this. But if they just recently started tracking it and then they have to go back in time and sort of collect this information and retroactively put it into the system, that's one avenue, which I guess it kind of makes sense. But I guess the real question I have is why so many around DC? And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to have ideas around that. Like, of course, it's in the capital. There's theories around what has happened with past leaderships and involvement with potential UFOs. So there's a lot of uh, reasons to think that this could actually be true. And here we have 43 or 4,600 reports now. That's a lot of reports. I mean, it's not all in one day, but I mean, it's over a long time period. But even the time period's not that long. I mean, even going back to 1945 to today, it's not that long. That's a lot of sightings in that one area.
Yes, it is. Excuse me. And by the way, I really the dinner lined up with the show tonight. I want to say thank you to my wife, my other half. But also, every time if I ever have it line up where she brings me a plate of something and I just try to scarf something down while Dex is talking, Dex will be like, "Well, I'm going to tell you a really long story on the next show," and then it will be me and I have to talk, and it will be like I just put a bite in my mouth, and then it's like, "Yeah, I'm going to tell you a really long story, but not today, guys." Over to you, Adam. And then I have to sit there. So if you ever hear like the long pause and then me go, that's exactly what's happening. She made me really amazing chicken, and it was super, super good. And I appreciate her so much. It's a live show, guys. Anything can happen. Chinese astronomers say that their new space telescope will outdo Hubble. Well, I thought ours was supposed to even outdo our own Hubble. China is readying a major project that will not only augment the nation's astronomical research agenda, but bolsters the use of country's space station complex. And they are bragging rights associated with China's star-studded venture. The spacecraft is called Jinshin, I think that's how you say it, known as the Chinese Survey Space Telescope. or Chinese Space Station Telescope. The name Zhenshin can literally be translated as surveying the sky or survey of the heavens. Oh. Scheduled for launch next year, the bus-sized CSST houses a 2-meter or 6.6 foot diameter primary mirror. This ultraviolet optical space telescope is to co-orbit with the country's Tiangong space station. It has nominal mission lifetime of 10 years, but the observatory's space duties could be extended. So they say that it's designed to outdo NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. This large orbiting facility is to orbit near China's space station, where it can be overhauled from time to time by Chinese spacewalkers. Ling Qingying, deputy director of China Manned Space Agency, has stated that the Jinshin in-orbit observatory is expected to make breakthroughs in cosmology, dark matter, and dark energy, the Milky Way galaxy, and other neighboring galaxies, star formation and evolution, and exoplanet. That's a tall order, they say. This is insane. This is China. Mind you, we've always been ahead in all of this. What's really nuts is that they have their own space station up there now. They put it up over 2 years. We were like, oh yeah, they announced that they're gonna actually separate from the space station. Oh, and they said that they were actually gonna do their own. And then they launched 3 big ass rockets that all 3 they didn't have any plan for how the big rocket part that brought it up there was going to come down. And those are the rockets that we followed and didn't know where they were going to land. Those 3 brought all 3 pieces to the space station. Now they're launching a better telescope than Hubble. So it's like in every category, they're trying to one-up the U.S. Dex, go ahead.
Well, so I actually can believe him on this one, and here's the reason why. So we one-upped our Hubble with the Webb and Webb telescope, and that was launched not too long ago. We talked about it, December 2021. But here's the thing: that was led by NASA. It was done in conjunction with European Space Agency, Canadian Space Agency, and multiple companies that were a part of it. It took us 30 years to build that telescope. And I promise you, it didn't take us 30 years to do it. It took us 30 years because of the slowness and the minutia that goes on and the back and forth, and they decided to start over again at certain phases. It took them 30 years to do that. So the red tape and the nonsense that's gone on with those programs in our country, I can totally believe that anybody like China or somebody like SpaceX, if they were paid to do it, could instantly say, yeah, I can build something as good as the old Hubble telescope or better than it. And I could probably do it in a short amount of time, put it up there, because it's kind of comical that it took us 30 years to put the Webb out. And then by the time, literally, we were launching in 2021, a 30-year-old piece of technology. So
okay. Look, do you guys want a quick laugh and maybe a quick theory on the side here? It says Lee Rand, project scientist of the CSST, used the analogy of imaging a flock of sheep to point out CSST's capabilities. Which way is this damn thing pointed, by the way? It says Hubble may see a sheep, but the CSST sees thousands, all at the same resolution. Hubble may see a sheep, but the CSST sees thousands, all at the same resolution. Well, that doesn't, in the fact of like seeing one, so they're saying that the Hubble would be zoomed in on one, but they can see thousands. Wouldn't that mean that the field of view, I guess they do talk about the field of view in this, but that's just, so I guess it's because of the panoramic thing. But I'm like, are they ever going to point this thing at Earth and watch us or something? Like, why use the analogy of sheep? That's a little weird to me. What about you guys? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you again, Angie K. Thank you, K. Parker Fraser. Thank you, Trinity. Thank you for your super chat. Appreciate that. You didn't write a message. Why didn't you write a message? Thank you. And then the Blue Walker 3 satellite is officially one of the brightest objects in the sky. It says scientists with the International Astronomical Union announced that one of the brightest objects visible in the night sky is not a star or a planet, but rather the Blue Walker 3 prototype satellite. It says it is unacceptably bright for many sky observers around the world. It said that part of an ambitious, get this, fifth generation communications system developed by the company AST Space Mobile, Blue Walker 3 appears so utterly luminous from our vantage point on Earth because, in addition to a launch vehicle adapter, it possesses a massive structure known as a phased array antenna. In fact, Blue Walker 3 is deemed the largest commercial antenna system ever deployed to low Earth orbit. It was launched there in September of 2022. That array takes up about 64 square meters or 689 square feet. It said that, and because of those panels are reflective, it's almost like Blue Walker 3 is a giant mirror continuously bouncing sunlight towards our eyes. It says, and that mirror could soon have company. AST says it envisions about 90 Blue Walkers roaming the skies in the near future to make what experts call a satellite constellation. This is really lame, actually. If you watch the stars and and it makes you think, right? So if those pop up there, and they can pop a bunch of them up there, and they literally look like stars, it makes you wonder about the current ones, right? But it's like, it ruins the night sky. So again, it's like I've seen things up there, and I thought it was like a new North Star. There's been a couple. Have you guys looked up in the sky lately and seen a couple that are like, I've never seen something that bright? And it's not the North Star. There'll be the North Star. You'll look at that and you'll go, but what the heck is that? I've also seen these bright lights that are super, super bright that just disappear. I've also seen, I don't know if you guys have seen this, and maybe it's something like this where it's a mirror that keeps catching. Have you looked up at the sky and seen a bright flash and then it disappears? And then a bright flash and it disappears. This actually is more logical than what I keep thinking, because I keep seeing it a lot. Have you guys seen that where it's a bright flash? Maybe it's just me seeing a mirror as it's turning and it's flashing, because it's like if you turn a mirror on the sun and hit somebody's eyes. It is crazy how bright it is. I mean, like, I've seen some that it looks like it was a supernova or something, just a brief, like I was seeing trillions of miles away, just poof, and then it's gone. Dex, have you seen that? That where you're watching and then something will flash and then it's just gone?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen more satellites. That's the craziest thing. It's like, I remember I think you've said this before yourself. As a child, it's like you saw one satellite, you were excited. Like, wow, look, I caught one. But now you can go out there and catch them all the time. And yeah, there's all sorts of tricks with light that happens with those things in the sky, because one time they're there, sometimes they're not, and sometimes they just fade right away, right in the middle of the sky too, or brighten up and dart away. So
I love it. Carlton
it's
says,
definitely it. Go ahead.
Carlton says, speaking is very difficult for Marfoogle. Take the milk duds out of your mouth, bro. It was chicken. We already clarified this. It was chicken. Chicken, not milk duds. Who eats milk duds, bro? That's disgusting. If I got milk duds in my Halloween candy, I was so disappointed. It was a sad day. I was depressed. For days on end, I would sit by a rainy window and just look out and go, milk duds? Really? Anyways, Dex, go ahead.
Agree. I agree, man. I don't like milk duds either. It's all in the name, man. They're duds. That's for sure. But no, I was going to say, I totally agree with this notion of what's happening in the sky and what they're doing. And they've talked about putting up not only just satellites, and Elon's 5,000 plus satellites he's putting up, or in this case 9 of these large constellations, these giant mirrors on them, but they're also talking about putting things up in that same space from a marketing point of view, where they're going to be able to start putting messages in the sky, and people are going to be paying for and writing stuff up in your sky. So you're going to see this big billboard in space, so to speak. And I guess the real question is, who owns it? Who controls it? Who allows it? because it'll be really funny if we see, China launch 1,000 satellites and plop them over our country and then start dis- dispersing disinformation in our sky above us, telling us all sorts of things that they wish to say that will be seen by everyone.
Yeah, and they have a perfect explanation for it already. And before a string of volcanic tremors raises fears of mass evacuations in Italy. It's funny, it just came on. It was like a older TV show I just saw on TV talking about. It was called 10.5 Apocalypse, and it had actually like Dean Cain in it and others. But I swear they talked about evacuations from Italy in that, and that they had like a string of tremors. And they also talked about Mount St. Helens having a string of tremors under that too. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was 2006 TV show. But it just thought it was funny because I just saw that on last night. And today this comes out. It says hundreds of small tremors have shaken a densely populated volcanic area west of the Italian city of Naples in recent weeks, pushing the government to quickly draft mass evacuation plans, even though experts don't see an imminent risk of eruption. In the latest of long string of tremors, a 4.0 magnitude earthquake hit the region of Campi Flegrei Monday. The region is home to a caldera, a cauldron-shaped depression left behind by the eruption of a very large volcano. The one in Campi Flegrei is the largest in Europe, and the last erupted in 1538. A new explosion would put 500,000 inhabitants at risk. 500,000. That's insane. 500,000 people. If you think of something like the 2001 event of September, that was less than 5,000. 500,000 people at risk. That's Mother Nature for you. It says Monday's tremor fall. Well, and actually, if you take the tsunami in India, or the Boxing Day tsunami, Indonesia, I meant. That 250,000 perished. That's such a crazy number to even fathom. It says Monday's tremor followed a 4.2 magnitude quake recorded last week, the strongest in the area for 40 years, according to the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology. So big, very big possibilities there. We will follow it, and we will end up updating anything there. I will also be watching Dutch Sense and seeing what he says about that as well. And before we move on, just want to remind you, if you haven't already, make sure to go check out Off Grid. A lot of you guys got these, and obviously it worked. A lot of people asked, if they work. These are Faraday bags, so they work as far as if you don't want any signals going in or out of your phone, or if you want to protect your devices against any kind of electrical disturbance, then you would get one of these. The backpacks can actually house your laptop, your tablets. In fact, it has a pocket in each of the sections, one for each thing. So you have a phone, tablet, laptop, and even key fob section. And that will protect it not only against people hacking you, tracking, tracing, but it will also protect against any kind of cyber event. So the backpack works good as like a 3-day go bag. And then, of course, they have a duffel bag that you can basically throw all of your devices in and protect that as well. Go to marfooglenews.com/offgrid. They use these for evidence bags for law enforcement agencies. EDEC was the original company, and they only basically catered to law enforcement, like police evidence rooms and things like that, and FBI and things like that. And Off Grid is when they started selling to the public. It's all military grade stuff. So this stuff is legit. As far as the bags, these aren't chintzy. These are heavy duty. This is what I did for my phone for the alert. Again, they're very sturdy. They pop open. You can hear it when they close. It actually has a huge, like, I guess, springy band that closes it up. Then you close it up and you can close it. They have all sorts of different bags. Belt clips and all sorts of different things that you can attach. And they even have a windowed one as well that you can just put your phone in. Dex, go ahead.
I just want to add that backpack, it was originally designed for covert use by special teams that needed to be able to take equipment with them and have it not be picked up by scanners. So that was totally, special. Not I don't know if it's special ops, but definitely you would think, espionage type, spy type, needing to be cloaked and not have anything be picked up when they're traveling.
Oh, so once they put it in the backpack, it was invisible.
He
Sorry.
was a little bit better than that Amazon product, right?
Yeah, way better. Uh, at marfoogle.com/offgrid. It helps support us. We are independent. We're on our own. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. We don't have a multi-channel network to protect us if something goes wrong. We have to deal with everything ourselves. So thank you guys. We appreciate it. Thank you everybody that's been with us since the beginning. And then, do I need to worry about disease X? Here's what experts say about the threat posed by unknown future demics. Dex, do you want to go over this one?
Well, so this is a name that they created years ago, but it represents something that doesn't exist, but they are, for some reason, it's in the news and they're talking a lot about it. Okay. I don't, it's been talked a lot about in other countries, but this whole notion of disease X, the biggest thing that bothers me with this is the name, the letter X. Like this thing is everywhere now. It went from SpaceX to let's rename Twitter X, and that's just the Elon X. Never mind, he named his kid X. To the X across the U.S. from the two eclipses that are happening within less than a year apart, or within probably 6 months of each other, that are going to draw an X across the U.S. And now we've got the W and the H and the O talking about and making sure everybody's well aware of this notion of disease X. So, what do you guys read into that? Let us know in the comments down below.
X marks
as
the
far
spot.
as this is, it certainly does. There you go. But as far as this goes, there's nothing really there other than it's a placeholder for something that's coming.
Which is really creepy if you think about, if they haven't named it yet, they haven't put anything out, but they've told people. Like, what if the very top people have said, like, oh, there's this thing coming? Dex, go back to last night. What article did we cover about Sam Bankman-Fried's brother? Tell the people.
50. Him and his brother were trying to buy an island with a population of 12,000 people over in northeastern of Australia area. They were a private island. It's a private nation. They wanted to buy it for the sole purpose of creating a bunker and a place to survive for their people. And because they knew something was coming that was going to take out 50 to 90 something percent of the population. And they're the elites. They were in the know. They were hobnobbing with the,
Hillary,
Bill and Hill.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of them. In fact, Sam Bankman-Fried is directly connected to all of the top 10 evil axis people that everybody's, it memes every single day. Like, he knows, she knows what she did. All of those people, Sam Bankman-Fried's speed dial. Okay. And he and his brother, before they got busted for all this stuff, and mind you, if you think, oh, well, how would he have screwed up like that? And how would it even go through? Well, he was running in those circles beforehand. His parents were part of this. So he could be the bratty little kid that grew up in these circles and had influential people in his family. And he did this thing, made this magic scam work, but then screwed up. And they probably sacrificed, sacrificial, hey, you're gone. And nobody believes it if somebody sees this. The only reason we know about this island that they were going to buy is because it's coming out in a lawsuit. And the lawsuit is talking about it. The lawsuit says that they owe billions in damages and stuff like this. And it talks about this specific interaction and these memorandums that they were talking back and forth. And Sam Bankman-Fried's little brother, they were going to buy this island. And he was going to buy it through his brother so they could avoid whatever this thing is. They didn't name it. And again, they're talking about disease X a day later. It's like, that would take out 50%, half or all the way up to 99.9% of the population. And at the same time, they're talking about November. There might be some stay-at-home stuff going on and all this. Like, it's creepy. And but it's gaining attention online as experts look beyond CV to future public health threats. That's just really weird. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you, all the old school Foogle fam in the house. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for stopping in. Beer Juice, thank you for the support over on D-Live. Thank you, Mindy's mom. Thank you, Sodium Soldier. Thank you, Wookie Goldberg. I love it. And then, let's see here. Thank you, Liz Bauer. It's nice to see you again. Esoteric Tea Rising. What matters? Don't worship man. Blue Yonderer says, B. Blake is here. Sorry, I got those milk duds in my mouth. KT cleans a lot. X is coming for you. X is coming for you. X is coming for you. Margie Clissold. We've got Ian DeBow. Barefoot Tanook. I don't like it at all. Scary. Let's see here. Future threats. Bland, Hilly, Bates, and Dr. Sparky's Run. Raw. Nice to see you. Bling it on. And Wide Awake and Angry. Thank you guys. And Red Donk says, X going to give you. Ah, man, I remember when that song came out. Everybody was rocking that. X going to give you. Shut it down. Open up. I think that might be a different Exhibit song. No, it wasn't even Exhibit. X gonna give it to you. His name wasn't X, was it? No. It was Exhibit, wasn't it? It was Exhibit, but the second person on the song was Thug something. Anyways. Smokey Mo, thank you. Haha, Tree Hookers, Dank Bear. DMX, that's right. Ah, gosh, why did I miss that? All right. Ricky Lynn, I'm going down memory lane by myself with the help of friends, which totally contradicts what I just said. All right. Thank you guys. And somebody else says, why is the guy picking on how you talk? Well, people do that all the time. But one thing I think is funny is if people think that this is easy, I would say start a channel and I will totally send people your way. It is so easy to read articles written by other people that don't talk like you. It's super easy. I'm telling you, it's the easiest thing in the world. All right, Dex, let's go over the web only. We got a lot of crazy stuff here.
Yeah, it's so easy. Please. Let's talk about easy. I'll tell you what's easy. It's easy to get the rest of the story. If you just go to marfooglenews.com and you click on the thumbnail for the show, or you open up that show notes link down below, you can land on this webpage that we painstakingly put together for you every single day to make sure that you have all of the sources, all of the information, all the links, the tweets, anything that goes along with the show so you can see it. But then we also give you more. All you got to do is keep scrolling down. You're going to find this yellow bar. It says overflow, and you'll find a Resvani tank there. If you want to enter to win, make sure you do it. I think that's got maybe a couple weeks left on it, and you're no longer going to be able to do that. So, but you can't win it if you don't do it. Then you're going to find all the other stories, everything else that we couldn't cover. Lots of different topics going on here. Things like Adolf's birth house is going to be turned into a police station. I don't know why. I'm surprised it's still standing, but you can learn more about what they're planning to do and who they're going after with it. Some interesting stuff with AI, looking at the 27 Club and trying to recreate what it would look like from Janis Joplin to Kurt Cobain. If you're into that kind of AI kind of stuff, that's always happening. Look, the Pope came out and did some weird stuff. And he's on one hand talking about the irresponsibility of the Western lifestyle. And then there's this other video that comes out of him. And I don't know, maybe there's nothing wrong with what's going on in this video, but take a look, see what you think. It just didn't seem like the type of event you would see the Pope sitting on stage and having all these people dance around him. Kind of crazy. So if you want to look at that, it's there. We've got all of that. We do have some stuff going on. Also updates with China, their moon mission. which we've talked about, but there's some additional things that are happening there. There's a giga water loop coming out and that Tesla is building, but we really don't know what it's about. So, but if you want to know a little bit more, at least what they're trying to show, and what they think it may be, you can find out there on the site. Now we also have everything going on with the political side. So all the T-Man stuff, he's left the court, I guess. Not necessarily going back because he doesn't have to be there. The case will continue on. Apparently his attorney got yelled at by the judge. All that stuff's there. The stuff going on with the Speaker of the House, that's there if you're looking for it. Updates on the son of the current president and what's happening with him, that is there. So all of the little political nonsense that goes on, we've got you covered. So if you're looking for it, there's plenty of it there. We do have some additional updates with happening with Russia and UKR. That's there as well. And oh, by the way, talking about the X, and I'm talking about the disease X as they call it. Well, the one before the CV, there's that card. Well, you can't get it anymore. They've now officially stopped printing them. That's coming from the cat dog cat. So that and so much more, it's all there on our website. Go to marfooglenews.com, and it's easy. Just go to the website, click on the thumbnail, or hit that show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you right here.
If any of you have seen the movie Urge, it has Pierce Brosnan, and you don't know what it's about really at the beginning, but I don't know. It's not one that I'm like, oh, I don't want to spoil it for you, because you get it right away. That it's really kind of like the devil versus the people type thing. But in that, there's a red guy who's kind of like after watching it, you pretty much see him as kind of a devil of gluttony kind of thing, like the berries, the red berries. Maybe, oh my gosh, I didn't think about it. He's kind of like the morphed, distorted, like red apple, the apple of Adam and Eve, like the thing you shouldn't have, and you did. But next to the Pope is this guy with this creepy white face paint and dark hollowed out eyes, and it reminded me of the Barry guy from that movie. It's creepy, and he keeps getting all of these pictures with him and like these demonic looking people. It's like, they think about this kind of stuff. They usually will avoid, we're not going to take a picture with that gentleman, sorry, or they're not going to have somebody up on stage with him, sorry, that's going to be taken wrong because this is history. Any picture of the Pope is going to end up in a history book, no matter where he is. Kind of crazy to think about it. Like if you were a person that every picture of you, wherever you are, is probably going to end up in a history book. So crazy to think where some people's lives go. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and when you go watch that video, folks, and I highly encourage you, just go to the website and watch it. It's kind of interesting. I'm not dissing the culture. To me, it looks like a cultural thing. I don't even know where it was at. We saw the video and like, oh, wow. It's probably normal.
Looks like Rio de
else.
Janeiro.
But when you put him into it, it's just like, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. I mean, it's like if you send him to Vegas, would you, put him in front of dancing showgirls that are, just because it's what you do in Vegas? No, it's kind of like, wow, nothing against what's actually happening on stage in the sense of the culture that's going on there. But man, it just seems totally out of place for him.
Yeah. What is this clown guy the thing, and he gets top spot like over his shoulder? Like this, there's got to be some sort of allegory here for what's going on in real life right now. There's like a life vest pants or something. I don't know. It's just weird. Anyways, yeah, is that Rio de Janeiro or where is this? Anyways, thank you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you, Trinity. Thank you so much. Trinity, looks like you are the top supporter tonight. One of my mods being that you didn't have to do that. Thank you. And for the Mrs. Marf, hey, thank you, Trinity. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Make sure to go check out Trinity and all of the mods. Really, they all have great content. Go over and check them out at marfooglenews.com/friends. You can find all of our wonderful mods there. Not to mention, you can find all of their great content from Bones all the way down to Wages World. And everyone in between, make sure to go support them by subscribing. Thank you guys. Love you. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
It's now time for a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
Gas mask on their face, never would they ever switch blades. Switch blades. Meanwhile in Russia, gas mask on their face, never would they ever switch blades. Meanwhile in Russia, gas masks on their face, never would they ever switch blades. Meanwhile in Russia, gas masks on their face, never would they ever switch blades. Meanwhile in Russia, gas masks on their face, never would they ever switch blades. I see the woman away. I see everybody went on the woman to say. I see. Got the thing. I said dream. I said dream. Bottle in the gulps and the rob mills. Got the conic on a bitch and the Rashi. Calling the comet, moon and me. Take care and stay alert. Island B and the missus her. Hey, we the bond no bitch. X gonna give it to you when the witch. I say, 3 hookers and sightings.
Thank you, Trinity. Thank you, Dan Oberweiser. Real Deal Alert. Thank you. Hey, Louis Tremposh, Anastasia Romanoff.
I said the W-I-S Gen-C hot think and the Mrs. Ram Christian Bell and the Don Z3 6th Street Magnus Rhythm and me Seven the girl and the Anastasia Roman off Lisa put a hollow Bring it on and we shall overcome No weapon be armed on With the dragon fire don't gone Going down in with the Dina Jaw Mars Love job it trust And I go not do it on talks Deep down Mickey on lost I maybe got the love on live Go on down now we go to cloud Deep on my dead deep on that I'm on that I'm on.
Top supporters Trinity. We're going to do a quick song for Trinity.
Red
or blue pill.
Hi.
Oh,
Kermit
the
Frog.
Here. Hi. Oh, Kermit. Hi. Oh, Kermit the Frog here. Hi. Oh, Kermit the Frog here. Oh, Kermit the Frog here. Oh, no. Oh, ba, 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 I say, how go, how hit, turn it, the heat, high, oh, Kermit the Frog here, I see it near, Kermit the Frog here, dum 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 bum 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 bum, bum 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 bum. I say to everybody gonna get in like clothing. I don't urge a move. I say moving. W-I-S,